Well, good morning. How are you all today? Welcome to both channels because I'm going to put this on both channels. I think that I have finally decided what I want to do with the other channel, which is American Revival. I haven't put much stuff up, but well, I put very little stuff up on there lately, simply because I was kind of torn between which direction to go, but I think I decided right now. So this is going up to everybody, Integrated Preparedness and American Revival. Good morning. Grab yourself something. I'm going to talk today about, throw out a question actually, and that is, can small towns save America? So I think I think some of you are going to have opinions on that, and we wonder, because we wonder, can anything save America? Well, God can save America, but how's He going to do it? Could it be through the small towns? I want to talk about that. And then I want to talk about a couple of other things before that. But first, grab yourself something to drink, something to sip on while we talk. I'm drinking this morning out of the 2023 Stonemont Christmas mug. Merry Stonemont Christmas. Do you see that? And the reason that I'm doing this is because I am in the mood. I'm getting in the spirit of Christmas. To us, Christmas isn't just a day. It is the day on which we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. We don't celebrate a tree. I always have people come on here and say, Christmas is a pagan holiday, and blah, 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 blah. And I just wonder about those people. I really do. Step back from the edge. You may worship a tree. I don't. We worship Jesus Christ, the Son of God, and we celebrate His birth on Christmas Day. But it's more than that, because as we come into Christmas season, the whole season is Christmas to us. From right about now till the middle of January. So in that spirit, I am starting, and another reason, because I'm going to have the 2025 Stonemont, see it says Merry Stonemont Christmas. I'm going to have the 2025 Stonemont Christmas mug to show you here in a few days. And we're going to have a special kind of a Christmas offering coming up. Okay, let me take a sip of this and then I'll get started. Before we get to can small towns save America? And because one of the channels this is going on is a preparedness channel, I want to tell all the preparedness-minded people out there, the PMPs, that all the food sales are now out there. Go get them. I've said this, for months. I've been telling you, have a little money so that when the pre-holiday food sales come about, you're ready to go get them. I said last week, one of our grocery stores around here, and I know that not everybody's in this situation. If you live in the suburbs, you got a million grocery stores to choose from, right? If you live in a small town or more rurally, you probably got one store to go to, and so you're kind of hit. You got to pay what they say, right? Well, around here we have a lot of different places to go, and they are always competing with each other, which drives prices down. Okay. So anyway, last week one of the grocery store chains had pasta on sale, all different, spaghetti, linguine, shells, bow tie, all this kind of different pastas, because you need different shapes of pastas, right, to make different dishes. All you Italians know what I'm talking about. So they had it for 79 cents a package, for a pound package. 79 cents, normally $2.29. Well, I bought about a year's worth of pasta. I always have several years worth of pasta saved up, okay? Well, this week, one of our local grocery stores, now we get most of our meat from a ranch just west of here a little bit in Kansas, because we know where it comes from, right? And it's grass-fed, and it's not shot full of stuff and things that you don't want to eat. And, they have a good price. First off, they don't deal with packers. I know I'm getting a little bit far afield here, what most people want to know. Anyway, I'll bring it back. They don't deal with packers, so their prices stay pretty steady, and they're good prices. We get most of our stuff from them, and it's always about $4.50 a pound for ground beef. That's just other things, and they're not really expensive. But one of our grocery stores has ground beef on sale for $3.49. this week. $3.49 a pound. Now, this isn't as good as what we get from the ranch, but it's $3.49 a pound. And so guess how many pounds I'm going to get, right? Probably 100 pounds. That's about all the freezer space that I've got, unless I want to. Well, I've got a freezer that needs fixing. Maybe I'll fix it and get another 100 pounds. Or maybe I'll clear out, I don't know, who knows? We will see. And then they also, starting a 3-day sale this weekend, have Progresso soup. My favorite, my staple for preparedness for your food stocks is they're having Progresso soups, 4 for $5. I mean, and these things are usually like $2.69. They're up to $2.69 now a can. 4 for $5. That's $1.25. Now, we're still eating Progresso soup that I've got years ago for 77 cents a can. Yes, have prices gone up? Yes, prices have gone up over the last 10 years. Okay, it always happens. But now they're $1.25. Guess how many cans I'm gonna buy? Well, I'm not going to tell you, but you can guess, right? Let me take another sip. Oh, and another thing before we get to that, Charlie Kirk. All right. I have not made many things about Charlie Kirk. Everybody in the world are making videos about Charlie Kirk and what happened. And there's a lot of so-called experts that are getting on there and trying to go through the whole, showing all the evidence that they think, and they're making a lot of money, a lot of clicks. Cause I don't want to do that because I find a lot of it unseemly. I know they're just doing it. Well, okay, they're doing it for money. Is that wrong? I'm not going to call them wrong for doing it for money. I mean, that's what they're here for. Okay, so whatever. But a lot of them have it wrong. Take it from an old, and I will tell you what I have come to believe, and it's very simple. And it's going to be shocking to a lot of people, not shocking to other people. But remember, I'm an old police investigator, okay? And that's why I haven't chimed in on this very much. I chimed in the first part, and I said that was not a 30-06. I said that the first day, okay? But since then, I've kind of left it alone. And now people are finally coming around. That wasn't a 30-06. I will tell you, and a lot of people are jumping on board. Who's that guy? No, I'm not even going to mention his name. He's built himself up. Anyway, doesn't matter. I will tell you this much. I have come to the conclusion that TPUSA was in on it. The management of it was in on it. That's why you're getting so many conflicting stories, so much is being suppressed, all that. If you want to follow up the information, I don't think I'll ever do one. I'm not going to say I'll never do this. I might do it on the other channel, American Revival. But I'm just going to tell you now, TPUSA was in on it. There's a lot wrong with TPUSA. I'm not saying there was anything wrong with Charlie Kirk. I'm not saying that at all. I don't think there was. There's a lot wrong with the organization. They were in on this hit. And if you want some information that will give you some things to chew on, I would suggest following Candace Owens and Redacted. They have another one out. And I don't really watch those channels very much, but I've watched these and they verify what I have thought. Okay, all right. Now let's get to, can small towns save America? I was reading parts of a book written by a friend of mine. I got a message from Mike Morton. Many of you know that he is the one who wrote Balkanized, right? A fantastic book, The Fragmentation of America. He lays it out in here. If you haven't read it, go to Amazon and buy it. Balkanized by Michael Morton. And he sent me a text the other night, and he says, hey, buddy, I wrote a new book, and it's this. He told me what it was about and all this. I said, man, that is going to top all of your other books. I can't wait to read it. I says, I still have, and I guess it's coming out pretty soon. I said, I still have a lot in your last book that I want to cover on videos. And so I'd better get busy. So we chatted about a few other things, and so I was reading this last night, and this now gets to our subject of the day: can small towns save America? Okay. And some of you will be saying, well, Steve, what a shock. I didn't think you liked small towns. No, I love small towns. I think they're great. They have their problems, okay? What I've always said is they are not perfect, just like every place else is not perfect. And there's a lot of people in the world that try to make them out as if they're a bunch of Mayberries. They're not. Small towns are not perfect. They have a lot of problems. They have different problems than big cities, but they've got problems. But here, I want to lay out how the possibility of small towns, those very small towns that do have problems, could they be the salvation of, well, the salvation of America would be through the Lord himself, but could they be the instrument? So I'm going to read here just about a page out of his book, and then we're going to get to it, okay? And it's the page, The Slow Collapse of Rural America. I've talked about this before, but Mike puts things so succinctly. I want to read this. The economic heart of the heartland was always the land, fertile, vast, and woven into the identity of the people. But over the past half-century, that land has been stripped from the hands that built it, handed to conglomerates, hedge funds, and distant boardrooms that see farms not as communities, but as commodity production zones. From 1980 to 2020, the number of family farms dropped by nearly half. Corporate-owned farmland surged by millions of acres. Small towns hollowed out as main streets shuttered and young people fled to cities. Walmart replaced the hardware store. Monsanto replaced the seed co-op. Tyson replaced the butcher. Dollar General replaced everything else. The result is economic dislocation and dependency. Towns that once thrived on local trade now rely on SNAP cards and methadone clinics. Grandparents raise grandkids because the parents are gone, either to prison, addiction, or a factory in another state. Meanwhile, the federal government pushes ESG, environmental social governance regulations, carbon credit schemes, and sustainability mandates that punish small-scale farmers and reward vertical monopolies. The USDA hands out subsidies, mostly to mega farms and environmental agencies, fine ranchers for cattle runoff while ignoring chemical spills by multinational processors. This isn't neglect, it's economic war by policy, and the heartland knows it. That's right. That means you people, we all, but especially those people who are closest to that situation, the people in rural areas and small towns, they know it. I know it because I talked to them. Back when our country was founded, Jefferson and many others like him envisioned a country, an agrarian society. Okay, people that were close to the land. Many of them were planters, meaning farmers. Many of them, although there were cities, there were towns, and they were the centers of banking and all that, and you can have your idea about banking. They were the centers of commerce, let's put it that way. The real production in the country occurred, in the more agrarian situations, locations. Well, we've gotten away from that, as Mike, very succinctly describes in there. But we've gotten so far, as I said the other day, is it time to cut the cities out of the rest of the country? If they want to secede, let them secede. But if they won't secede, maybe we just fence them off and cut them off, because they are the cancers that are growing in our countries. Now, what has to happen in order for small towns to be able to be the salvation of America? Well, like he described, and like I've said before, small towns are dying. They've been dying for a long time. One of my favorite songs is Alan Jackson's Little Man. Most of you are familiar with that. If you're not, listen to it. Maybe I'll put it up on the Patreon channel. And it's about the death of the small towns. It's about what happened. The people started losing their farms and such during the Depression, and people moved to the city. That's where the jobs were. And since then, just like Mike describes, we have gone from that close knit agrarian large family farm family business model to a corporate model that segments society, that slices people out as individuals. I have a lot of experience in what has happened to small towns, as small towns are boring to young people. That's why small towns and rural areas are well, they are depressed areas in many ways, because the younger people, they go away to college, or they go away to get a job, better job someplace, and they don't come back. What's that song about? Somebody, every time I mention this, somebody will tell me what it is, so I'm sure somebody will hear. Have you ever noticed, when they leave town, they never come back? Well, they don't want to come back because it's boring to them. The small town is dying. There's no there's no excitement there. The World War I song, how are you going to keep them down on the farm once they've seen Perry? And so, as the rural families, as their kids go away, they don't come back, and that takes away from the future, the growing, the continuing vitality, the energy of the town itself. And as a result, you have in those areas a higher median age, a lower median health standard, less health care, an explosion of drugs and meth houses and things like that. And it's a collapsing of what really was meant to be the engine of our country. I was talking to a guy that I know that owns a business in Clinton, Missouri. Clinton's about, I don't know, 20,000, something like that, or 10, maybe smaller than that. Let me take a sip. Merry Christmas. I asked him, how's things going around here? He shook his head. He said, man, we need industry. We need business. We need jobs here in this town. Well, now there's places around the country to where a lot of companies are putting in factories and things like that. But it's kind of like they said here. A lot of the kids are gone because they've moved to work in a factory in another state or another county or whatever. What I think, it's gotten to the point where people are, some small towns are staying alive by making themselves tourist areas, right? And so people go there. People who live in cities and small and suburbs and such, they go to these small towns to kind of see a quaint reflection of the past, right? Oh, isn't this cute? We like to run up to Jamesport, Missouri sometimes. It's kind of an Amish community, and they go up there to go to their store and get their jellies and jams and stuff and mums. Or there's other towns around that really have developed their downtowns, or they have one-a-year festivals to kind of draw people in. Everybody goes down there and says, "Oh, isn't this cute? Wouldn't this be a wonderful place to live? Wouldn't this just the epitome of America?" But when you get down to it, and if you ask them, "Well, would you move here?" They go, "Well, no, I'm not going to move here. I mean, they got one grocery store, one gas station. I don't know. Well, here's what has to happen after another sip. You all give me your opinion. Small towns need to be regenerated. And that may mean that they may need to be a little bit bigger than they are, but they need to be regenerated so that they are self-sufficient, more self-sufficient than they are now. The small town itself needs to become a hub of a market. It needs to be the market for the produce that is coming in from nearby, within 20 miles of the town. The people who are out there growing, the farmers, and we're not talking about corporate farmers here. We're talking about the people who many times people live on farms. They have a garden for themselves, but they don't produce anything to sell. Many don't, and some do, but many don't. Although they could make a lot of money. People in the small towns or whatever, they can make a lot of money by growing more produce and bringing it to a suburb and setting up at a farmer's market. I know people who do that for a living. They do very well. But small towns can do that by making themselves, by reintegrating everything into their structure. Okay, and by that I mean they have to have A1 public services. They have to have good health care. They have to have the kinds of things that are going to keep younger people in town. See, keep them from leaving town, or if they go away to college and they get their degree in business or whatever, makes them want to come back to the town to continue growing the community, the family business. That's another thing that we've gotten away from in too many ways, and that is this concept of a family business, the family farm. There aren't many family farms out there now who, quote family farms, who support the family. Most of them are growing just a few crops or cattle or whatever, whether it's dairy or beef. So they've kind of again they've specialized, and in many ways specialization is the death, right? Because what a real community needs is integration. And if small towns could make themselves more attractive, not to outsiders, not from people like they say from California or New York. No crack on you folks from California and New York. A lot of you are good folks. A lot of people are not. I'll be honest. A lot of places have been ruined by people moving for places with very liberal attitudes, and they change the areas they move into, and that's sad. I mean, it happens. It's happened around here a little bit. It happens in Texas. It's happening in Texas. It's happening in Montana. It's happening in Wyoming. It's happening everywhere. But the only reason they can do that is because they find that they can move into these areas that are being depressed by people moving out. And so they get great deals on land. They get great deals on real estate. They move there. They drive up the prices in those areas because they're paying, what to a Californian, they look at a house in a small town. It might be $250,000. They'd pay $1 million for a house out in California like that. And they say, well, hell, I don't want to lose out on this. I'll give you $350,000 for this. See, thinking that that's a good deal. Well, that just drives up the property values and taxes on everybody else around it. The small towns have to reinvent themselves, and they have to reinvent themselves as self-sufficient, integrated communities that not just produce stuff, but produce opportunities. Okay, and that's going to be a work, but and very often, the thing is, people in the small town. Now, I'm throwing this out. Those of you in the small towns, this is your situation to deal with. I'm gonna throw out a couple of opinions here. You may or may not agree with them. That's okay. No reason to fight about it, but. You can't, when somebody comes in from out of town to try to develop or whatever, very often, they are made to feel like the outsiders. I get it. Everybody's like that. Ooh, here comes people that are different than. Well, if they're liberals, you don't want them in there, but you have to create an atmosphere where good people with good American family values will want to come to your communities, will want to move to your small towns and feel accepted. Okay? Feel accepted. Some small towns are like that. To be honest, others aren't. And you all know that. Okay? But you have to create that environment. You have to create the environment that makes younger people not want to leave and makes good people actually want to come there. And if it's just a shop, good. They come, they bring their money, they leave it with you, and then they go home. Okay? Or maybe they want to move there and be a dynamic part of your community. Okay? So seemed like there was something else that I wanted to throw in here. Let me put you on pause for a moment so you won't have to wait through my thinking process. Oh, yes. As soon as I took a sip from my Stonemont Merry Christmas mug, it came to me. That will have another effect, and that is as these small towns grow in strength, and not necessarily in size. I'm not talking about, I don't want them to become 100,000 people. I think that a town of 20 to 50,000 people, well, maybe 50,000 is too much. But, you have your opinion. Uh, as more and more people are drawn to these towns and that lifestyle, okay, quality community, quality education. It has to be quality education, whether that's homeschooling or local. Local schooling, public schooling is not bad if you have good public school teachers. And that's another thing. Too many people want to paint with a broad brush. Oh, all public education is horrible. No, it's not. Some of it's exceptional. That's why we have our kids in public schools. They are exceptional schools, and the teachers are. We keep them online. But great health services. Okay, it has to be a place that you love waking up in the morning and saying, "Man, thank the good Lord I live here." So, how that happens, I don't know. That's up to you all in the small towns to develop. But I think after reading Mike's book, and I've thought this a little bit, but after reading it, it brought this home to me. Small towns, rural areas could be the salvation of our country. It could be the tool through which the good Lord saves this country, if people will do it. We will see. All right. You all have a great day. I didn't even tell you about my books, did I? Let me get on here in case you all would like to read a story of a fantastic place to live, and that's Stonemont. The Stonemont series, my books, I wrote them. The Reversion, the Revival, the Renewal, An Appeal to Heaven, The Blessings of Freedom, Hostages to Fortune, and On Wings Like Eagles. I had a woman ask me several years ago, just as an interlude here, says, "I don't believe you wrote those books. You wouldn't be able to name them if you hadn't held them up there." Aren't people odd? Well, anyway, yeah, I did write them. It is a story of a prepared family who, as a result of their preparedness, was not only able to continue living a high-quality life after the collapse of everything, but was able to help other people and rebuild community the way it should be done. And I even talk about building small towns in here. How about that? You can get them a couple different ways. You can get them through Amazon, which the link is down below, or you can get them directly from me through our website. I need a better way to do this. Through our website, stonemont.us, and that link is also down below. And when you do them, I prefer when you do that, get them directly from me, because then I sign each one for you, and I write a note in each one for you. And you can get them as a whole set, which you can't do through Amazon, but you can get them as a whole set with a discount, because we save money when we send them as a whole set as opposed to individually through packaging and handling and postage and all that. Then I also throw in from me to you the Stonemont Notebook. So if you would like a story, you will learn more than you can shake a stick at in these, about preparedness, about history, about all sorts of things, and you'll love the story. And if you haven't read them, I think you'd like them. Okay, well, small towns. Here's the small towns. I wish that this country were just a whole bunch of small towns instead of the rat-infested city centers that we have now. But we will see, right? If God willing, the creek don't rise and the small town and the rural people start rebuilding their areas of our country, maybe we can see that done, because we need the good people in together. Oh, and did I say? I don't think I finished this. I'm sorry. I apologize. One thing that as the small towns increase, that will take people out of these cities, and it will increase the voting power of the small towns and rural areas. Completely forgot to stick that in because my mind went someplace else, and I've always got 10 things going on up here at once, and I just try to pick out the ones, and sometimes they get shuffled off with a new idea. You all have a good day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow, and remember that this country needs to be turned around. America needs a revival, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.